Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for coming to the first ever Ask NextID Anything. This is our first of many, hopefully, community AMAs for developers to get to understand NextID as a protocol and understand like how you can build with us. And answer any questions that you have. My name is He He. I lead product marketing and growth as one of the core contributors of NextID. And today with me, we have other core engineers and community manager Wei and Nick and Isi, who will be sharing a lot of the insights on our community governance as well as our technology later in the AMA. So super excited to see a lot of people trickling in from different developer DAOs today. And for those that who are just hearing about NextID, we are an open source DID protocol for all self-governing digital identities. So we aggregate identities across like Web2 and Web3, as well as other DID services to create an open source identity database that allows developers to build on top and giving identity ownership really back to the user. So that's our vision. And you will hear a lot more in details about how NextID as an infrastructure can empower and help you build later in the presentation. So for our AMA today, very soon I'll introduce our open source community manager Wei to give you a demo about the protocol, and then we'll do a roundtable with our, our maintainer Isi from NextID, as well as our friends from minority programmers, Developer DAO, and the Corgi community for a roundtable. We're also happy to answer any questions you have towards the end. Yeah. Without further ado, I'll welcome Wei to give us a quick product demo about NextID.
Yeah. Thanks for introduction. I believe you still have a little lagging in your network. Not very clearly, but we got you. So welcome again, everyone. So I believe most of you attending this meeting, well, maybe you are at the very first time hearing NextID. So let me just give you a little demo to see what it is. First, let's go to our official site and just go to this domain, Next.ID, and go to the docs to see more introductions. Getting started, the core concepts, the developer guide, etc. You can check all the information here. And right now, our community is in beta testing. That means we have all kinds of Rust APIs, but still, SDK is lacking. So for next step, we are about developing or deliver a TypeScript SDK for use. And there are many 3 services. You can see here, we are many have these user cases we are doing with like a Mask Network, KN3, RS3, Web3.bio, and we have 3 major services named as ProofService, KVService, and RelationService, which is still in a staging server, and we're about to roll out. And here, I will present you with this demo in video to illustrate how ProofService service works. Let me switch back to the recording video right here. Yeah. Can you see it clearly? It's okay? I will go ahead. Yeah. So in ProofService, what does it do? You will create a digital identity. We name it as an avatar. Then you use it link with Twitter, with Facebook, or even your wallet addresses out there. So it enable you to connect all digital identities out there. So let's see how it works. So it's like a step-by-step video showing, and you can go back to the doc to see it. So the first step, you will create your personal avatar, then to the post, generate signatures, then post the proof Twitter, verify the proof, and check the VDR status. So it's the the major steps. So go back here. For avatar, behind it, it's a private key and public key. It's very similar to you are dealing with a wallet. And right here, we are presenting a demo using a Python library, and to present this algorithm of SECP256K1. And you can use any other libraries in any other languages. So it's a demo here. You can use this command line. Because we're raising in Python 3. And a question, why I intentionally put a mosaic here, because the private key is everything. Do not, leak this out. Like, you never release all your private key in your wallet. Protect yourself. Again, I have mosaic to block them. So now you're creating a pair of private key and public key. Then you go back to use the REST API, the first RESTful API payload, proof/payload. You're typing the action create platform Twitter. My identity handle was BylerHB. Then you will get back the post content and the site payload, UUID, and etc. The major information here is we want to use this sign payload. Go back to this is the open source demo you can download in our GitHub. So it's a demo showing for TypeScript. You can also doing it in Go or Rust. We are also providing 2 other demos. So here you're using a TypeScript. You enter the main function, and you will enter here, replace the payload, the message, with the payload you just get it. Again, I blocked the secret key. So I change it from my old secret key, right? So this is another warning, attention, do not leak your private key. So for now, I think this is about to go. You can see the logs. We will print out the signatures, signated by your private key. Then you can use a command line, compile this project. Then you'll get the source code. Go back to the dist and use a node to running the index.js. You can see the signature generated. So there are 2 generation. The first signature is too long, so we recommend to use the base64 format. Then you can go back to a post. Remember, we have this post content already written back to you. So copy paste that out and do some editings like spaces. And go back to copy the base 64 signature. This is a critical step, that you are linking your Twitter handle with your personal, because the private key is yours. No one else will know. Then you use another REST API /proof to verify it. So again, use a public key. The proof location is just the Twitter we just posted, and use the UUID and created at timestamp you just received at a former API and send a request. So you can see the HTTP code was 201 created. So this means success. Then we'll use the final API to check the status. Okay, again, you can see the public key is 0. The last of the 3 digits is 047, right? So it's the same one. We just added 60. Yeah. So this will be all the step-by-step demo of ProofService. And later on, we will record a better one that's like integrating with my voicing and to download it, to upload it in YouTube later on. You can still be watching it. So this is meaning a ProofService show, and you can ask questions later. So another thing I want to present is our community governance. Even though our community is very early stage, but we are very welcoming everyone to join us. So we just launched the community governance as every open source project out there does. And the delegation roles here, we have 3 maintainer, builder, and SIG owners have the roles and the responsibilities, how they're gonna onboard, and like retirement of the delegation roles. And the incentives is still to be built. It's quite early. And people, community members, you are saying here, like me, like Wei, like Wen Wei, like Charlene, He, and also Is, also Homing. They are all the early members of this community, and we enjoy everyone to join us. And this be all. I think my it's finished. Go back to He.
Yeah, thank you, Wei, for the demo about ProofService and like kind of the it's like kind of a working mechanism. And if you have any questions regarding the demo just now, feel free to post it in the chat. And then our team is also like Homing, like Benny the Bacon has shared our documentation there. So feel free to take a look. And to quickly summarize, so what you just saw is NextID's kind of our DID component, where we are, as a DID aggregation protocol, we're able to aggregate social accounts across Web 2 and Web 3. And we do it in a platform agnostic way and a neutral way to allow users to be able to create different, what we call avatars, that are key pairs that can for users themselves to build up their digital footprints and identities across different platforms. Yeah, and on top of that, as you dig into our documentation, we also aggregate other DID services and other social graph through our RelationService, so that for developers, it will be easier for you to develop functionality such as like cross-platform searches and allow users to be able to query, identities of a certain handle across different platforms. Yeah. So for more questions about the documentation and our protocol, feel free to drop it in the chat. And next up, I would love to invite the maintainer of NextID, Is, as well as our friends from minority programmers, Xerox Corgi, Her DAO, up for a roundtable to share more about kind of the vision behind NextID, their thoughts about DID, what are the developers these days thinking about building DIDs around. Yeah, so for our speakers, if you're here, feel free to unmute yourself and just say hi to those that are present at the AMA tonight.
Okay. Good evening. Good morning, I guess. And just want to say hi here. I'm kind of like not in the good conditions for this.
And do we have friends? Xerox Corgi and Her DAO.
I can introduce myself very quickly. Hi, I'm Lina from HADAO. I'm the governor. I'm also the hackathon and scholarships lead. And yeah, I've been working very closely with our whole dev community in the last months. And thank you so much for the invitation, and very excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, great to have you here.
I can introduce as well. My name is Alex Corgis. We are kind of like a little bit about us is just a Web2, Web3 comic book. We teach pretty much people around the space. And then we are, that's pretty much the intro. I'm more of an educator as well in my own right. And I think that's it.
Yeah, great to have you here. And do we have our friend from Minority Programmers? Let's see. If not, we can first jump into kind of just to kick off the conversation of Isa here. So Isa, could you share a bit more in terms of the vision for NextID, and so far, what are the progresses we've made working with different developers?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Thanks, Anna. And then hi everyone. My name is Easy, as mentioned. Yeah, I kind of like initiated this project like a month ago. But actually, we have been working on kind of like identity related problems and solutions since we founded like Mass Network like 4 years ago. 3 years ago. We have been thinking about the same question over and over again, which is how we can help people, help users get back their like own rights over their accounts, over their data, and over their privacy. I guess like one huge problem or one huge issue with the existing Web2 platforms or Web2 solutions is that users are still need to get the permission to register their own account, while like the account per like a Web2 account, Web2 platforms is just a entry in their database. They can just manipulate your account however they want. They can just put censorship over your data, over your daily routines. They can do whatever they want. They can even block you or delete all your data however they want. So we want to find a solution to finally like fix this, which is like why we founded NextID in the very first place. And as I said, like in Web2 world, you got to like register, you get the permission to register your own account. But in Web3 world, you don't really have to do that because we rely solely on math or cryptography. You can generate your own account or your own identity by generating a random number between in the range of 0 to 2 to the 256 minus 1, which is and that will be your private key, aka your your identity or the credential to control your identity. And by doing this, we can finally like say that users are able to control their identity finally. And what we want to build upon this is that once we can just we allow users to have their own identity, what should be built upon it? Well, like a blockchain wallet is a DID or is like a qualified ID that we are talking about, but connecting them together is another thing, because as we can see that in this role, like a lot of people are saying that your your address is your identity, or your wallet is your identity. But a few things we have to like think about is that first, you're allowed to have like however many like accounts or wallet addresses in one blockchain, not just one. And the second that is that you're not just relying on like Ethereum or Solana. You can have like your accounts across different like platforms or different like blockchains, and that's why we're making this like proof service or the fundamental like feature of like NextID is that you can connect your private key, or we call it avatar, to connect with all of your digital identities, including different like wallet addresses and on different blockchains. Also, you're able to connect your Web2 identities or Web2 accounts. By doing this, you can finally say, hey, that in the Web3 world, I can finally be myself, and then I can choose however I want to look like into the public, because I can connect to multiple accounts or multiple identities like on my own will, and all of these like accounts or identities build up my credit, and that's what we want to build and bring to the Web3 world. And yeah, I mean, if you guys are interested in how we're like developing this, please do check out our GitHub repo and then our documentation site. And I guess that'll be all I want to like mention for this question, I guess. Hannah, can you just go on? Sorry, guys. I just need to say that I'm underlying a really bad fever after taking the vaccine, so I may or may not like be very well during the AMA, but I'll try my best to do that.
Yeah, I appreciate Isi for staying up pretty late in Asia time zone, and especially after taking the second vaccine shot to come to this AMA. Yeah, so hopefully hope you're feeling better. I also thank you for sharing with the group here about the vision and context of building NextID and creating a world where like users have a lot more freedom and sovereignty over governing their identities and are able to build reputations and credentials on top of it. I also want to ask our friends from Xerox Corgi and also her DAO, like what are some of the discussions, if you see any, around DID and reputation and all that that you see in your community? What are some of the projects or things people are excited to build? Yeah. Let's see. I'm not too familiar with Discord, so let's see if Xerox Corgi is still with us, or our friend from her DAO. Any comments or thoughts you have about DID or kind of identities in Web3?
I just like I think in general, like because we attend a lot of hackathons and with our devs who are pretty new to the ecosystem, but most of them are at the same time also coming from more underrepresented groups. I think it is a very like interesting, like important topic, but also a lot of people just like learn about that topic. So I think also I think in general, when I explain them that concepts like this already exist, and that it will just facilitate, I think in general, not facilitate, but make it so much easier to like create sheet-proof applications. So I think there's like a high interest in products like that, and then of course also what they find always important is privacy, security, and I think you provide that. So I think it's very interesting to projects that focus on encryption, on privacy, and that really take care of like, and also add decentralized projects. Like, I really like your roadmap, how you're going in the direction of a DAO, and because that is also very important in the end for products like that. And so, yeah, I think you fit right into the discussions we had. So very interesting being here.
Yeah, good to have you here. And I think we realized there's a certain limit to the number of people who could join the channel. If that's right, we'll see if we can lose up the limit a little bit. Yeah, any thoughts on around like DID and like kind of identity management in Web3 from our friend from 0x Corgi?
Watching and seeing like how DID is trying to solve interesting problem about like your identity, and just like from the demo showing like your account could be banned, censored, and you want to protect your privacy and protect all of what you own. And it's pretty interesting that supports of like Rust, TypeScript, and I think the Go is really useful for developers to build on top of it and provide like different types of applications from different verticals, and create a lot of innovative different apps in different spaces. Could be NFTs to DeFi to many others. So that's kind of right now. I'm still also thinking and processing what could I do and build on top of that as like an open source. So
yeah. Absolutely. I'm also like excited to learn more about like different maybe projects that you've seen or within your community and beyond that are building on top later. And to go back to the question, I think around like DID and NextID. So we proposed a concept of decentralized identity as a service for developers, and like including different like ProofService, KVService, key value service, and RelationService for developers. So this question is for Isa. So could you elaborate a bit more, like how NextID has been able to kind of support developers in different ways? What does like kind of the concept of DIAS really mean?
Ready. So I guess you guys have all seen like our demos. We wanted to build a really developer friendly like API and or protocol, so that developers or like projects do not really need to like worry about how like an identity should look like or should like work, because like we will cover all the like fundamental or like a low level stuff for everybody. And all you need to like think about, well, as we mentioned, we do not have the sorry, I just need to shut my door. Well, okay. As we mentioned, we do not have the SDK ready for now, but we will like release them as soon as possible, so that you guys don't, if you're building a front end project, all you need to do is just to like use our like SDK like to connect users' identities. Say if they have a like Ethereum wallet, like MetaMask, all you need to do is just to call our SDK to connect this user's like a MetaMask wallet address, and then we will do the rest of the things, like converting them to an avatar, and then something like that. So our goal, as mentioned, is we want to provide a like decentralized identity as a service to all the developers and all the projects, so that if you were like building some like fascinating features in Web3 world, all you need to do is just to focus on what you are really good at, and then we can take the identity part ourselves, and then and that's it maybe. And also I want to mention is that we create this like relation service And then by querying that, by the way, it's just as simple as a GraphQL. So all you need to do is just query that in a GraphQL fashion, and then you will get to get a lot of connections or interactions between not just like Web3 wallet addresses, but also like Web2 account interactions. For now, we don't really have that, but we are en route integrating them there, so that on maybe like in 3 or 6 months, I don't know, maybe 3 months, and then you will see a all you can query is a combined like social graph of one user, not just his or her wallet address, but also all the like social accounts or all the social identities they have. And then we want to build such a like a comprehensive like social graph, and then all you need to do is just to build something upon it. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Issa, for the pretty comprehensive explanation on, like how like kind of spelling out what decentralized identity as a service really mean, and how like at this current stage, NextID work with different developers. I understand that we are having a little bit of bandwidth issue, which is always a good problem to have. That the current stage is a little bit too crowded, like people are trying to get in, but they can't seem to be able to join the voice channel. So let's see, Benny the Bacon and Wei, if you are here, so could you advise on like where we are moving towards so that more people can hear the AMA?
I think right here is okay because we already set up the limitation. The former is like 20.
So we've lifted up the limitation.
Yes, we lifted it to 100. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, good to know that. Yeah, and like with regards to, I guess, community governance, and this is a question for all the three speakers here, and also if we have our friend from minority programmers here, also feel free to just like tune in and like unmute yourself, because I know there may be some issue joining in earlier. So with NextID, we want to really run this as an open source, as a kind of a DAO, pretty collaborative and open community. And we also have our friends here who are like running like DAOs and communities on their own. So we'd love to hear from our speakers, like, you know, like why'd you choose to run your mission as a DAO, and what are the like kind of the tentative plans to engage more developers and, you know, other kind of builders into your current project.
I can get started.
Yeah.
So
we'd love to hear more about her DAO as well.
Yeah. Just a short intro for everybody who doesn't know what her DAO is. Her DAO is a female non-binary focused builders and developer DAO. We are started with providing scholarships for underrepresented groups to hackathons and conferences. And through that, we grew our community base, and now we have over 200, almost 250 scholars in our database, of which we have we have 150 people are developers, and what we were aiming at was that, like, I know from my experience that for women it's harder to find help, like especially for development in Discord or in general in developer communities, or because it's very anonymous and sometimes it can be a bit scary to join. And for that, we wanted to create a mentorship network and to have this in a scalable way. We were thinking of creating a decentralized network of smaller developer hubs that will have like bigger developer hubs. And for that, we are right now starting to create local nodes of devs that can connect with each other, and also bring in Web2 developers, which we did with a lot of our which we already do with our program. And so they can connect in a local environment, but then also have her DAO as like this like mother or like parent DAO to connect the different nodes and create like a global network of structures. And for that, I think it is a very good structure. And yeah, so that was my answer.
Absolutely. Thank you. Is it Giga? All right. Giga here's from.
Yeah, it's Lina, but you can find me also on Twitter and everywhere with gigahertz.
Sounds good. And also feel free to leave your Twitter handle here so we can keep in touch. Yeah. Thank you for sharing kind of the mission of her DAO, and excited to see more like female developers in the space. Our friend from Xerox Corgi, do you want to share a bit more about like how your DAO is run, and then for the contributors and developers you see in your community, like what are they building?
Yeah, a little bit more into like the Web2 space, and also diverging to Web3. We're kind of like at more of a grassroots types of community, so building educations and workshops, and provide learning materials in more of the academic standings in universities across the states, and then also providing like a platform when those students graduate. We have a Discord, and we form like a kind of like all these massive students to be learning new technologies, like from data to Web3, and maybe some AI as well. So a little bit more like from bottom up, from like students to developers. And our community is also kind of are worldwide as well. People use us as like comics and learn really advanced technologies. And I'll put a little bit more about it. It's better to see it on like Twitter, because you can see like all our comics in that space. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, and then Issa, could you also share a bit more like how developers like in the open source community can get involved to participate in the NextID running as a DAO, and even for other types of like operators, like marketers and content writers, how they can participate? What are the, I guess, different opportunities out there for the community to participate in the project's development?
Okay, I guess there won't be like a huge difference if you're already participating in many like open source communities. But I guess what we want to build is like open source communities are always open, but I guess like as we are also like part of like many such communities, we realize that the incentive to like to the developers, to the potential developers, is kind of a little limited. So we want to explore more on how we can like incentive like more developers to join us build this thing, because like we don't really own this project, because like it's a fully open source, and then like we pick the maybe the most the loosest like license for this. Our goal is not to own this project and claim that this is our own like intellectual property. Our goal is to build this thing to benefit more Web3 and also like Web2 users, or in general like internet users. So as long as you are worried about how identities are like are harming our users in the Web2 world, or you're worried about like DID is not designed as you wish it could be designed, well, feel free to join us, and then we want to hear more about how users care about, or how users or developers like think about how an ideal like DID protocol should look like. Well, I took a look at the chat room like for this AMA, and then I think many users or many developers are will pick the strongest, well, the pick the most serious problem issue in this in this topic, which is the privacy issue. And then a lot of like Web3 like DID projects are asking or are are telling the users to connect there are a lot of like projects that are already telling the users to connect their like Web2 or Web3 identities together to maybe potentially get an airdrop or something. But what we want to do here is that we want to show that we care about like privacy. We care about the backfire it could like result in, like for connecting multiple like identities all together, especially if you're connecting a Twitter or Facebook or like all kinds of like Web2 accounts, since like they're all KYC somehow. Like think about this, like if you are using Twitter, you might have like registered with your like phone number, and then the phone number is probably on all KYC across the countries. So we know about this issue or this problem since day one, and then we came up with like some solutions to like try to fix this problem, but still like we want to come up with a solution that is like as smooth as is possible, because we don't really want to like harm users experience, but also keep the security and the privacy like as our baseline for in developing this project. So if you guys are like have like huge concerns about like how privacy and security issues could be like in the Web3 or DID world, please do like feel free to like talk to us, because we will have a lot to discuss and then think about together. Yeah, that we all. Sorry,
Yeah.
kind of kind of
No worries. You're making total sense. Don't apologize. You're good. Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, and then we're kind of almost as the AMA has been going on for about 45 minutes. I want to see if since this is a roundtable, if the other two speakers has any questions about NextID from the developer or community point of view. What are some of the things that you're curious about? If you have any questions for Isi, for the rest of our like building team, like definitely feel free to just ask here. I'm also going through the questions in the comment area. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, I guess that'll I'm not sure, but is Nick here? So I guess Nick can somehow like talk about like our progress over like ProofService with RelationService and KVService.
Yeah, sure. Hello everyone. I'm Nick and I'm the core developer of NextID. Let me introduce you the three core concepts of the NextID environment for now. The first one is ProofService, and as we just demonstrated before, the ProofService is a DID service which connects your Web2 identity to either a Web3 or your avatar. Yeah, then by creating this connection means you generate a unique signature from your avatar secret key and post the signature publicly using the the Web2 account which you want to create a combination. And I just saw there is a question in the comment area, which is a really good one. So I want to explain it a little bit more. We choose to generate the combination between two identities by using a cryptocurrency signature. The reason is the cryptography, or let's say mathematics, is not controlled by any of the individual or big company or government or something like this. And if you verify as an existing signature and you find this signature valid, which means it is a very high possibility, almost 100% possibility that this signature is generated by the private keys owner. So, and again, this guarantee is not this is not guaranteed by a big company or individual or government or something like this. This is all pure mathematics, pure cryptography. So it is let's say it is neutral, right? So we choose to generate a signature by using the cryptography and let you post it with your like Twitter account or Facebook account, something like this, to create the connection between your avatar and let's say your Twitter account. And the second benefit from it is everyone else could verify if this connection is valid, right? Say if you post your signature with your Twitter as a public tweet, then everybody else or any program can read your tweet and extract the signature from your tweet and then verify it. So if the signature is valid, which means there is a very high possibility that you have your avatar's secret key, which means the avatar is you, right?
Mhm.
So here is the core concept of ProofService. And let's talk a little bit about the KVService, the key value service. After we discussed with some partner about the usage of the ProofService, we found that there is a requirement which is data storage. Our partner often found that it is kind of expensive to store some small data on the chain. For example, if you want to make a Web3 app, such as a profile page, let's say, which you should allow your user to customize the nickname or the avatar or which NFT they want to show and which NFT they want to hide and the order of the NFT, right? So these data should be stored in somewhere. But where should it be stored? Yeah, of course, we can store it on chain, in a contract, but first, it is kind of expensive, and second, it requires the user to have some balance in their wallet, which really increased the difficulty for the users to use your app, right? So here we introduce the KVService to let the developers or users to have a place to store this small data, but without sacrificing the control of the user's own data, which means in KVService design, we still use this cryptography signature as a let's say as a validation method. Yes, and we chained all these change set into a chain, like something like a blockchain, yeah, to ensure that the whole modification is made by the user himself or herself. So yeah, here is a KVService. It's a small place for developers and users to store some data. And then there is the third part of the NextID is RelationService, which should be announced soon, but we can give you a sneak peek about this. In RelationService, we rethinked something about what we have done in ProofService. And as you know, the ProofService is for building a connection between the two identities. But aside ProofService, there are still other services that can provide this the similar function for just like ProofService. So we think, just talk to ourselves, why not should we just combine these services result together, and maybe by doing this we can build a whole or a more fulfillment of a user's identity connection tree. So with this thought, we just we have done something into the graph database, and then we made a service called RelationService. In RelationService, all of the connection between identities are collected from the third-party services, just like ProofService. Yeah. So there are many upstreams to let the RelationService collect the combination between two identities, such as, well, you see there are many of the services that provides on-chain relationship. For example, the RSS3 and CyberConnect and Lens in the future. Yeah, and there are also many services that provides Web2 era account-to-account connection. For example, there is Keybase, and there is ProofService we just made, and there's something else, yeah, in the future. So by connecting all of these upstreams together, we can create a more to complete user identity tree, let's say. So yeah, it will maybe the RelationService will be announced in the future, or well, soon. Yeah, anyway. Okay, so there are the three core concepts of NextID in the NextID environment. Yeah, maybe we can develop something more interesting. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's the exact purpose of us hosting this AMA, so that to engage, this is our first and of many programming and attempts to include more builders into the space and think about within each of the services that Nick just mentioned and beyond, what are some of the use cases that we can develop together using DID and using like a protocol like NextID. Yeah, we're, I think, approaching our time for the AMA. I see a lot of questions, Q&As happening in the chat box. if anyone wants to unmute themselves and ask questions directly to the core team, like definitely feel free to do so right now. So I see Nero Desert Rover has a question on scalability.
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm here. So, can everybody hear me, please?
Yes.
All right. So, yeah, I'm just, this is, a one of a kind project, and I'm really interested, and I've never heard of, using your identity as, as a service. And, I think the question on everyone's mind, the initial question will be, if you can connect Web 2 and Web 3 in such a way that is unified under one, kind of like a governance, don't you think, that particular protocol, NextID, must be safeguarded so much that hacking is not permissible? I mean, just last month, a particular analytical body said the whole DeFi space lost $22 million to hackers. And I know a lot of protocols, DeFi protocols, and Web 2, Web 3 based protocols are making attempts to stop this, but the hackers are just outsmarting them. Even Audios lost about $6 million tokens just about 2 weeks ago. So I mean, what exactly are you doing to safeguard my identity as a user of NextID? That's my first question.
Could you clarify your question a bit more?
Okay. You know what? I'm just going to ask another question entirely. This is my question. NextID hopes to work very similarly to a blockchain model. Do you realize that one of the problems of blockchain is scalability problems and slow transaction processing time? So how do the developers of NextID hope to counter these issues?
Oh, okay. I can answer this question. Thank you for your question. A really good one. Let me clarify something that our NextID is not a service on the blockchain using the contract stuff. We are not like that. NextID is more like a protocol, which means first, the API is open. And the second, all of the server code is open sourced, which means you can host your own. Or let's say we encourage you to host your own, because in the cyber world, there is a saying goes that don't trust anyone, right? So only the data that hold by you can trust. So we designed all these three parts of NextID environment. We put the self-hosting as the first place. So so when we are talking about the protocol, we mean that all of the applications that is designed or developed with NextID has the ability to define or specify a self-hosted let's say ProofService or RelationService as the backend of the application by our design. Yeah. So there is not such strong connection with a blockchain or a contract or something, or NFT or something like this. So hope I can, yeah. So
Yes.
hope I can.
Now I understand. Another question. You just said there's no strong association with an NFT, because truly Odysseus, he replied me on the chat, the chat of this Armor. He said, I was asking about NFTs, and he said, why would I want to sell my NFT? That's like selling my social security number, which is not advisable. Now, but my question is, the avatars specifically, I don't know what they would look like. So I myself, being a NextID account owner, can I decide to, design my avatar the way I want it? And can I make multiple copies that, other people might be interested in buying? Or, I just feel, how exactly can a crypto a newbie in crypto, a person that doesn't know about anything DeFi, anything Web2, Web3 at all? How can a normal person, a NextID account owner that doesn't know anything at all, how can he benefit from your project without necessarily being a developer at all?
Oh, another good question. So for our first stage, this stage, an avatar is behaviored and acts like a asymmetric cryptography private key public key pair. But for the common user, as you just mentioned, yes, there will be some more user-friendly applications developed by our partner or another third-party developers, and there will be some more user-friendly products which will come out in the future. And we welcomed every of the developers to use our NextID product and develop something exciting. Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Great. Thank you, Nick, for the answer on avatars like working mechanism. Yeah. And thank you, Nero, for the question. Yeah, and hope that clarifies kind of like NextID's protocol, our proof chain, and its difference fundamentally compared to like blockchain and other solutions that you see in the space. And again, we are a pretty fundamental identity management protocol. So we want to really see like how developers and different projects can build on top. So right now at this moment, like NextID is not like kind of directly user facing per se, but we would love to work with application layer partners to kind of like fully flesh out and unleash the power of DIDs. Yeah. And with that, we've been running this AMA for about an hour. Towards the very last, we actually prepared kind of a pretty fun quiz around DID and NextID for those that are actively participating today. So for, I think, Wei and Benny, definitely for everyone who wants to, like keep engaging with the community and like win a 10 USDC kind of a cash reward and earn the Pioneer Discord role in the NextID community. Take the quiz on DWork, and we'll be continuing on these AMAs, and we'll start launching more community town halls to discuss both like development specific topics